Hey, Catherine. I thought I'd better do a video because we keep missing each other. I'm sorry I missed you this afternoon. But let me go over the assignments. And then if you have any other questions, you can either email me or we can try to set up another meeting. So let's look first to see what you've got up here on your blog. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom here. So you've got your writer's introduction. You've got your memoir rough draft from last semester, which is fine. And here's another draft of it. I think you only have one small stones. The idea for those was to try to do 5 or 6 a week for 4 weeks, so a total of about 25. Don't try to do them all at once. This is what you pay attention to. That was one of the first week's assignments. And here's your place description. Here's another small stones. Okay, and your final draft of your home essay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I have that written down, I think, or in my head. So if we go back and look at the assignments, I'll show you what you're missing. So let's start at the bottom here, beginning of the semester. So for week 1, setting up your blog, you're fine with that. Getting started with the small stones, the writer's autobiography, and the list of things you pay attention to. That's fine. So you're all set with that. For week 2, the work, the full description of the work is in this link here, and then this is the sort of the brief version of it. So there's a post that you're missing here about the connection between specific details and general statements. You did the rough draft of your place description, so that's the only thing you're missing. So let me show you where that is. Get this link to work. Okay, so in the it's here. Next, so there are 3 place descriptions here, which are samples that are written by professional writers. To give you an indication of how many details a writer can pack into 350 words. So the idea was to read those 3, and then if you go back here, and then do a post that using those 3 paragraphs, explain the difference between a specific detail and a general statement, giving 3 examples of successful specific details, what makes it good, and what you like about them, and then 3 examples of general statements. And then look at how the specific details in the paragraph support the general statements. So that's one thing you're missing. And if we go back here, so we're at week 3. Week 3, you have the rough draft and the final draft of essay 1, and you did a nice job on that, but you were missing the some preliminary writing. Peer review, I think you may have missed because your rough draft, at least for this one, wasn't up on time. Okay, so there was a journal post to do about the essay, depending on which essay you chose to do, the memoir or the analysis. There's one here. Now, you did that last semester, I think. Basically, the idea was I gave you a list of memoirs to choose from. You just needed to read one, and then do an essay that picked out some specific details that you thought were successful, and then in a couple sentences explained what the essay was about. And then, so that, I think last semester there were 2 essays that you were writing about, one from this list and one from the book, whatever it was called. But in this one, you need a second paragraph that gives an idea about what you're thinking about writing about for an essay. So I think if you go back, if you can get at your deleted posts, I think that may be there, so you can repost that one. And okay, so that's week 3. Week 4, there was some information to read on peer review and revision. The revision of the Place Where I Live assignment. I believe I put some comments on your rough draft. And then there was a peer review to do on somebody else's essay 1. If you'd like to get credit for that, if you find a peer review, a memoir that doesn't have a peer review, you could add a peer review to that, and then just repost it, put the comment on the person's blog, and then post it as well on your own blog with the indication of the person's name somewhere in the title, or you may want to address them specifically in your peer review. Okay, so that's week 4. So we're getting up there. Now, essay 2, I think this is where you start missing most of the work. So essay 2 is a text wrestling essay. There's the description of the assignment is over here, text wrestling. I'm giving you an essay to read, The Death of the Department Store and the American Middle Class. It's really more like an article than an essay. And then you're supposed to do an essay that both summarizes that article and responds to it. Roughly half and half. You'll also need an introduction at the beginning of the essay to kind of set the context for the essay. So if you click here, there are a couple student samples here that are well worth looking at. You can see in this one, for example, how the writer has a general introduction here. Then he starts his summary using the title of the article and the author's name. He has Linehan, that's the author. He has 3, I think, paragraphs of summary, and then he switches to response. He makes that clear here that he's now started to talk on his own behalf, giving some of his own personal experiences in this case. So he has just 1 paragraph. So it's a little bit unbalanced in terms of there being more summary than response, but he overall did a pretty good job. In your assignment, he has several additional sources beyond the article that I gave him to start with in the assignment for this semester. You need to find at least 1 other source that you can use. Typically, this could go in the introduction to give some background material about the issue, or it could be part of your response. If part of your response was a question, you might try to find an article that helped to answer that question, or you might try to find it if you disagreed or had some ideas different than the original article. You might find another article that would support your position. So that is there. So for week 5, you were supposed to be reading the article and then doing a journal post that responds to the article. What points interested or surprised you or disturbed you? How does it connect to what you've observed, etc. And then the revision of essay 1 you've already done. And then for now we're getting up to last week, paragraph focus. So there's some reading to do here. There's some reading about plagiarism. And then the rough draft of essay 2 was due. So that would be last Sunday, 3-ish days ago. And then this is the assignment for this week, to start in on Essay 3 by finding some sources, and then to do a peer review of Essay 2. So I would say your first priority would be to work on Essay 2 and try to get a rough draft done if possible. If you can get one done by the weekend or early next week, I could still try to find you a peer reviewer so you can get some feedback before the final draft for Essay 2 is due, which will be the end of Sunday, a week from Sunday. So the 10th, April 10th, that would be. Okay, so I hope that helps. You're not, you certainly can, if you have the time. It's not an impossible amount of work, I don't think, to do. If you have any questions about any of those specific assignments, let me know. If it'd be helpful to talk, so we can have a back and forth. You can ask questions. I am available sometimes, again, for Zoom. Usually Tuesday and Thursday are my most free days. Anyway, so let me know if this helps and what else I can do to help.